If you want to improve your GMing or DMing ability, or you're starting out in the tabletop hobby, keep watching this video. Hey everyone, welcome to Dungeon Bit, and I've been running tabletop games for years at this point, and with the tabletop sphere going through some crazy changes at the moment, Exhibit A, I wanted to impart what I wish that I knew when I first started. And normally, I would just say that you can watch the first 3 tips for the main bits, but all of this is equally important. It's all the main bits. So, let's go. Know enough of the rules. You might have this worry that if you don't know all of the rules, then you'll be doing it wrong, or the game will go badly. Well, there are plenty of rules-light games that prove that the amount of rules in a game or a given session is not proportional to the fun that you can all have. Just make sure that you learn the basics of your system of choice. The basics for me would be, how do you determine success and failure, because that's what makes this whole experience a game. Does your game need cards, or dice, or Jenga pieces? Yes, yes, that's a thing. It's called Dread. Look it up. If you're playing a D20 system like D&D, Morkborg, Pathfinder, or one of the many games like them, you'll roll a D20, add the necessary bonus, and try to beat a number that you choose. Chaosium games ask you to roll a D100 and roll under your skill, and my game, Sanctum, asks you to roll the relevant dice associated with how good you are at a skill. Super simple. If you grab the basic rules of your game, you can make judgments about how you're going to resolve a unique and unplanned situation with the mechanics that you know. And don't be afraid when this comes up, and it is when, not if. Just make sure that you be fair and assertive. One of the worst ranking sins for a GM to commit is favoritism. Treat all the players equally in regard to rules and rewards. And don't punish a player's character for acting in a certain way that you don't like. State any problem that the player is creating at the table with them directly. You are the referee who makes the final judgment on how a ruling is going to go down. So be fair with it, and don't let the whinging of immature players sway your judgment. If you are fair with your judgments, and you make these decisions with good intentioned purpose, then the players should respect that. Just don't go mad with power. And also, don't go overboard before the session either. Make sure that you prepare enough. This doesn't mean prepare everything or prepare a lot. No, just prepare what you'll need, and how much you need is up to you. How much would make you feel comfortable while running the game? Make enough prep beforehand, or if you're running a pre-made module, then read the back of the module to see the conclusion and the part that'll be happening next in session, whether that's the start or the next chapter. Prepping a lot means that you'll have a lot to use, and you'll feel all comfy while running, but you'll end up relying on your notes and maybe even freaking out at the table if the players go off track. And prepping too little means that you'll have to think on your feet and improvise more. But it means that you and the players can make the story together. Also, hot tip, make a list of names to fit your setting so you can refer to that list when a new NPC needs making, because your players might do something other than what you prepared. And in that case, you'll have to improvise. Players will always find a way to go off track, so prepare to make up NPCs and locations on the fly. Watch my video on the topic to do so, and make it really unique and interesting. Because you might have been led to believe that resorting to improv is when the game gets bad, because it's unprepared content, it's chaos. But that's completely false. You will soon see how much more tense and fun you can make the game by making up content on the spot in reaction to the plans made by the players, or the ideas that they have. Also, if you make the game around the players when they choose to do their own thing, then the players will feel like their choices matter because they are center stage. And never lose track of that either. You're all in this together like the song, so don't run the game like you're reading off a page full of your own fanfiction with the OCs being cooler than the player characters. And here's another hot tip, you don't need to worry about improvising dialogue because you don't need to be an actor to GM. Just have the NPCs talk to the players in your voice or another voice. The less weird and flowery they speak, the more understandable that they will be. Fantastic. It can be so much better to be clear and descriptive rather than theatrical and all over the place. So, ensure that you give sensory descriptions. You don't have to say a novel's worth of poetry. to describe a room or horizon. Just cover the most focal points. Don't tell the players how they feel, just give them sensory info about the smells, the sounds, the strange sights, the temperature, and let them feel for themselves. And also, don't feel like you have to include every single detail about every single thing and keep asking your players, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? While trying to drag them with a leash through your plot. Instead, talk less. You might have this perception that in order to GM, I need to strain myself and put on this full production and do all this work, and that scares you not to GM. Well, that's completely false, because these games are about collaboration. You will be amazed how you can just describe a scene or give a little clue and watch your players roleplay, discuss, debate, and plan their next move. You can sit back for a crazy amount of time while GMing and just watch your players, and you can sit and prepare for the next scene or make new plans as they discuss. But here's a tip. If you can see that your players are genuinely stuck and they're unable to make a decision on what to do and how to move forward, then get the game moving with a surprise problem to overcome, like an ambush, a new character appears to change the situation, or there's an explosion in the middle distance, etc. Because unless you want a game where everything is chill and we're just hanging out and we don't really care about the game that we're playing, then you may want to state your intentions and wants to your players. What is it that you want? Action, combat, adventure, exploring, story, or do you just want to mess around? As the GM, what do you want in the game? And what do you not want in the game? By stating your intentions and your wants with the game, you can bring your players on board so you can all play together in a way that you want to. But don't forget to cover what your players don't want in the game. It would be pretty unfair if you said to your players, I want to play this way, but your players might not want to play with certain things in the game, like really complex inventory management. And you also don't want to upset or traumatize people, so ask if certain heavy topics would ruin the game for them. If you've ever turned on Twitter, then you've seen a bunch of people who hate anything woke or progressive or anything to do with safety rules, but unfortunately, people experiencing some form of abuse in their lives is horrifyingly common. So, ask if any topics are off limits and don't pry into why. If people aren't okay with you not being okay with a trauma in your life, then there's some scary person that you need to get away from. Now that everyone is on board, don't forget to discuss with your players that being the GM doesn't mean that you're the only one who has to put work in. Explain that you have to all work together. You and your players might have this idea that the GM puts the work in and the players just get to come along after a week of not preparing and just relax. But that's not true. You are the referee, but it's the players that guide the story in session. You might prepare stuff beforehand, but in session, you all work together to make the session great. You are the sea, but they are the boat. They choose the direction and what they do. Also, if you're all working together to make the story together, then if you know the rules, then they are supposed to know how their character works. If they're new to the game, give them time to learn, but they should learn eventually. Also, top tip, a phrase that I love to say ever since I thought of it, but being the GM is about making stuff to be broken. And it can feel bad at first when you fall in love with a bad guy that you made and you watch them lose or they're killed, but beating them was the point, right? So don't get mad if this collaboration of story results in your world or bad guys being broken. Your players are having fun beating the awesome bad guys you made, and if you can't be happy with them doing that, then maybe you need some more time to think about whether you want to GM. And with all that said, finally, don't be scared. Whatever scares you to not want to GM is your own reason, but I have heard from so many comments and people that I've talked to on how they were once nervous too. But once they tried it, they realised that they had no reason to be nervous because they love it. I like to compare it to a cold pool. You can slowly descend and freak out as you do until you consider jumping out, or you can just dive in. Take the plunge and realise it's really fun in this pool. There's a bit of piss, but it's fun. Don't be afraid to sit down and be the games master. Run the great games that you wished that you could join and play in. And by doing so, you'll inspire the next round of GMs. You got this, bud. Thank you for watching. I'm Ellis, and if you like this video, I have a bunch of videos on this channel to help you be a great GM, and you can find them in the playlist on screen. I love you all, and I'll see you next Saturday.